Hello guys, my name is Amit Sani and I welcome you in this daily Hindu analysis video. In the morning these videos come, in the evening PIB videos come, and the PDF you will get on the Telegram channel of StudyIQ and on my Facebook group also, and there I have given my Telegram's link also. So 25th of March, time is very crucial, very less. I understand your problem these days, and these are the numbers there you can call and you can ask for these pen drive courses by StudyIQ. All updated courses are there, and this is the thing that you need at this particular time. Don't waste your time anywhere else. Don't waste your lakhs of rupees, your hard-earned money, and with a few thousand rupees you can master your subjects, and certainly you will be selected in these examinations. Questions that I gave to you yesterday: National Integration Council, NIC, it was established in 1961, and first statement is wrong because it's a group of senior political leaders plus academicians, not only academicians in India. So this is wrong. But that is right, that it looks for ways to address the problems of communalism, casteism and regionalism. Next, it organizes annual meetings. No. A few years back, the last meeting held of it, and after that we did not see any of that. It was started after 2008 Mumbai attacks. No, in 1961 a National Integration Council was established, and in 1963 it actually gave a recommendation regarding the UAPA Act of 1967 because it got the presidential assent in 1967. So this was one of the most important acts regarding terrorism because it is Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, and this was actually recommended by the committee established by National Integration Council. Okay, so these all statements are wrong, and this UAPA Act is highly relevant. For the last 2 years it has been in much highlight. Next, Jirga has relation to Pashtun tribes, mainly in Afghanistan. The Afghanistan's parliament, its lower house and the upper house, they both add a suffix of Jirga in their names, and mainly it used to be the traditional assembly of Pashtuns, because mainly in the hilly areas the Pashtun tribes, they live in Afghanistan and they also live in northern Pakistan area and in some Kashmir areas. So it's the traditional assembly of Pashtuns that they call Jirga. So A is the correct answer here. Next, Ind AS, it's accounting standards, and according to the International Financial Reporting System, we want to make our systems as globalized ones according to the IFRS systems. So it was recommended, and RBI was about to implement it very soon, but in April 18, when the deadline was there, RBI extended it, and again this year it has postponed it for some later period, and it is regarding the accounting standards. Some more information was also there that regional rural banks and these urban cooperatives, they don't need to follow these accounting standards, new Ind AS norms. Some private organizations and all, they are following Ind AS system, but officially for the banks and all, this thing is not implemented till now, and RBI has again postponed it. Next, World Food Program was established in 1945 by the FAO. No, this is wrong. World Food Program was established in 1961 first. Then in 1963, for 3 years, they started it as a pilot project, and in 1965, it started as a continuous program for the whole world. So World Food Program established in 1965 mainly. So this statement is wrong, and this is correct that it by FAO and UNGA it was started. Next, it promotes environmental and economic stability and agricultural production. That is perfectly okay. So only 2 is the correct answer here. So these bodies, their programs, these dates are extremely important. There used to be a program of food for peace before that, and that actually preluded this particular body and this particular program. That is the biggest hunger solution program of this world. Okay, so it is important, World Food Program. Next, Program for Endorsement of Forest Certification, PEFC, is an international non-profit non-governmental organization, that is okay, which promotes sustainable forest management through independent third-party certification. These are correct statements. Okay, it is the largest certification system in the world for forest management. That you remember. So this statement is wrong because it is saying second largest. This is wrong. It is the largest forest certification system, and this particular statement is also perfectly right because PEFC requires adherence to all 8 core ILO International Labour Organization conventions, that all these laborers and all, they should be given all these rights, their work conditions and all, they should be maintained. So these core ILO conventions, they should be followed. Maybe these countries, they have not ratified them, but if they want any certification from PEFC, then they need to follow these rules. So we are following that, and recently a particular system, forest certification system, first of India, that has been created by a particular body. In a separate question I have asked about that particular body. So okay, so some questions I'm asking in the PIB lesson. So that is a 10-minute lesson, so you should never miss the PIB lesson also. So FCS, forest certification system. Okay, so it is regarding that. So this body PEFC, it's an international body. It actually recognizes the national certification systems, as we have created a system, national system, and PEFC has endorsed that. So that is the important context of it. So 1 and 2 is the correct answer, and this is wrong because it is not the second largest, it is the largest forest certification system. And an alternative to it, that is Forest Stewardship Corporation. That is a different certification system, but that is not so huge. So A is the correct answer here. Next, we discussed and we learned about Bhagat Singh's ways yesterday in a particular article, and there we learned that atheism was very important and very central to Bhagat Singh's ideology. He wrote a master essay on why I am an atheist. Next, communism, all that he followed, and anarchism, he talked a lot about. So all these three are correct options because it is asking choose among following related to Bhagat Singh. So all these three things were related to Bhagat Singh, and he talked and wrote about all of them. Next, if we talk about the articles today, it is important for GS paper 2 and 3 both. It's a matter of governance also, it's a matter of economy also. Fiscal transfers, you see, we are a quasi-federal country, quasi-federal state. And what does it mean? It means that we are not a full-fledged federal state like USA or Australia, where states are autonomous, they even have their citizenship, and that's why these citizens, they have dual citizenship. One is of their state, one is of their nation. So even they have citizenship, they have their own constitution, they have their own laws, and they have maximum possible autonomy. Just they are bound in a particular contract, and these all independent states, they have come together, and that is why we call it a United States of America. So this is not like that. We are following some federal features, like we have state list in Schedule 7, and that gives a lot of power and autonomy on some topics to states, and these are given their own funds and all, and they all manage their own condition. Vidhan Sabha elections and all, these are all federal features. So we have provided some federal features, but not all. We have actually created states to manage this country. It is not like the alliance between these states. It's a united country, it's a union of states, but we have created states just to manage them efficiently, because it's a huge country, it's a diverse country, it's a very, very complex country. That is why state creation was needed. So we have a destructive federalism, means we have divided our country into states so that we can manage them well, and that is why destructive federalism, the same concept is followed by Canada. So Canada is different from USA in this form, and Canada is a similar with India in this form. And in both these countries, Canada and India, there are centralizing tendencies. Residual powers are there with the parliament. So that is important. So here economy becomes much more important because everything runs on economy, everything is based on economy. And in large countries, it has been felt that only a federal structure can efficiently meet the requirements of people from different regions. That has been felt. And you see, what is the particular way in India? These taxes which are collected, sometimes these are collected by center, sometimes these are collected by states, and all their net proceeds. Net proceeds means whatever is left after separating the money spent on collection. So the net amount is actually divided between center and the states, and there are two types of distribution: horizontal and vertical. Vertical means center to states, okay, to various states, and the distribution among these states, that is the horizontal distribution, okay, how they are going to divide that, and it's a very complex thing. Percentage is fixed for this distribution. You see, after 14th Finance Commission, it actually recommended that the proceeds, net proceeds to the states, whatever we are giving them, 32% was the earlier provision. Now after 14th Finance Commission, they have raised it to 42%. Okay, so unconditional distribution to these states means these are not discretionary, these are not based on any kind of condition. Whatever proceed that is collected, that 42% of it would be given to states. So if we go by the stats here, first we need to see the stats. In 2010 and 11, the combined revenue receipts of the center and the states, the share of the center was 64.68% before the distribution. After the transfer, the share came down to 40.20%. And a state share before was 35.32%, and after these transfers from the center, they came to 59.80%. And now you see what is the condition after 16 and 17 when this 42% rule is applied now. In 16-17, centers after transfer was 33.37%, and states after transfer has become 66.63%. Means it has risen. Now you see, when they said that from 32% to 42% you should make, Finance Commission actually recommended that, and Finance Commission recommends that. Finance Commission cannot allocate these resources. It is on the ministries and the cabinet committees. So Finance Commission is the constitutional body, and under Article 280, President has to appoint the Finance Commission, and it recommended about that. But you see, they said that overall transfer from the center towards states, that would not be changed. Almost it would remain same, because if we count the discretionary grants which used to be there when 32% rule was there, and some other particular grants which were decided by the planning commission which used to be there, that was the most powerful body of India till 2015, January 15. Planning commission was there, and that was the most important body. So planning commission also gave some grants additionally with these 32%. So whatever share in total center had to give to these states, that remained almost similar after this 42% rule, because they actually rationalized the system. Many centrally sponsored schemes were there where center was extending these funds to states, but now many of these schemes, they have been these funds have been stopped, and now it is on the discretion of the states. Means this additional 10% which has been extended, it has come under the autonomy of the states. It is on the states that how they are going to use this money. So the overall transfer is not changed, it is almost similar, but the autonomy is actually increased with the states. Means the federal feature has become stronger. So this is the situation, and this is a perfect management, and you see, this is the best that can be there. But you see, some issues will also remain there, and they will always remain, because it can never be a perfect system. States have their own demands. Every time they have different situations. In some coastal states, many these disasters and all, they are there. Many grants we need to give them to states. So there are various demands, various level of progress, various level of their GDPs, state GDPs. So they demand special status and all. So many demands are there for the center, but it's a very complex task, But you see, now what do we need? We actually need to make this system, we should actually mold it into a constitutional scheme, and we should pass laws regarding that. We should make some amendments in the constitution so that this particular system is actually becoming a constitutional scheme. That is not right now, and we need to make that. And you see new developments, as I have told you, Niti Aayog has been there now, and the power which used to be there with the planning commission, that is no more there with Niti Aayog. Niti Aayog is working just as a think tank. It has no power of resource allocation. There is no power which used to be there with the planning commission. Planning commission was actually the most powerful body. It superseded the NDC, National Development Council, Finance Commission, everything, and it dominated the financial landscape of India. But now Niti Aayog is there, planning commission has been absolved, and even the planning has been absolved. So after these developments, some confusions are there that which body is important, how they are managing the situation, and how in the future they are going to manage the whole scenario of it. So the constitutional scheme is required here, and I have told you that some suggestions can be there according to the needs. As the writer says that shareable tax pool which is there, that must include cesses and surcharges. Right now the cesses and surcharges, they go directly to the center. States have no right over them. So the Swachh Bharat cess, Krishi Kalyan cess, higher education cess, all these cesses, they all go to center. Center can use them. But you see, most of them, they remain unused as a proportion, and all these issues are different issues. But within this 42% limit, these should have some share. Next, we can follow US and Canada's systems, where the states, they also have limited powers of personal income tax levy, and with some limitations, with some particular mold, we can also apply this rule where states are also able to levy income tax on the people. So it is very difficult in India, and how they are going to manage it, that is very much a complex task. But on a pilot basis, we can try these things, because these things are running efficiently in these countries, and we have to learn from these countries, and we may use these things. Now, next thing that we have to manage efficiently here, that the horizontal distribution, that is the biggest trouble among these states. How do we balance that? And Finance Commission is all about this appropriate balancing, and that is the most justified statement here by C. Rangarajan, who is the former economic advisor to the government. And nothing better can be said about Finance Commission. It is all about this balancing, because India is not a full-fledged federal state, it's a quasi-federal state, so things are very complex, and this balancing is actually very, very difficult. Every year you see some state is very angry with the center, some states are always crying for funds and all, and they are always crying for a special status and all. Bihar has done that, Andhra Pradesh is actually at loggerheads with the center, and for the last 2 years they have always remained in a situation where they have locked horns with each other. There used to be a very friendly relationship between Chandrababu Naidu and Mr. Modi, but now you see the condition is totally different. So it is all the issue of finances allocation and these net proceeds allocation, and how the funds are being released, how they are managing the whole task. So it is all about that. It's a very important one, and in a simple language I have explained to you the whole matter. Next, parallel tracks on the trade ties. It is regarding the India-US situation. GS paper 2 would be important here. GS paper 3 would also be important here. You see, when US has openly announced that it would end the preferential trade agreement and GSP system, the benefit which is given to India, it is gonna end very soon, and India has been the biggest beneficiary of it. This was the oldest and largest program by US, and India has been the biggest beneficiary. But last year in April 18, they launched a program to re-evaluate this GSP system for India, because many issues were there, and after these FDI rules, which are applicable on these e-commerce giants, since February 1, US has totally decided this issue against India, and it has openly declared that we are going to scrap this GSP benefit system, because India is no more a favorable nation for us, and it is not reciprocating in terms of trade benefits, because India is levying duties and all, and it is tightening the norms for our companies. US is saying this, and India wants a GSP from us. That is not going to happen. And here writer says that we need to rethink over this issue, because we are underestimating these removal of GSP norms. It is not only about $190 million that would be the loss for us, because exports would be affected, but we are only calculating these $190 million, that it is not a huge amount. But we are not assessing the issue where Indian companies, they are actually fighting there for their existence. They are competing with other companies. They are finding the market share there, and if any kind of price rise is there because of these GSP norms, then they can be wiped out by other companies, other MNCs, and that we are not looking at. And it's a major problem for Indian exporters, and some price sensitive products are there, and they are totally gonna be devastated because of this GSP norm, because there's a very tough competition out there. And you see here the example of Walmart, which actually bought Flipkart in this $16 billion deal, and it was a very big deal. It had to adjust this money, or $10 billion money, from this international operation of ASDA. That it did, and at any cost it bought Flipkart, looking at the opportunities in India. But after that, as it was announced, as it was done, the next step was regarding the e-commerce giants and the FDI rules which were imposed on these companies, that they can only be involved in the business to business operations. They cannot sell their own product on their websites and all. So this became a huge problem for Walmart, and Walmart is a family very close to Donald Trump's family. So they complained regarding that, and it's a total loss for these companies like Walmart, Amazon, which are based in America. So they would obviously protest about this thing. But here the writer says, Pooja Mehra is a journalist, she says that we need to rethink this issue, because in the next 60 days we have time to rethink about this issue, because immediately it would not be applicable. They would send it to Congress, and then they would send it to India, and then it would be scrapped. This GSP system would be ended. So we have a particular 2 months time. We need to rethink about this issue, because it is not only about this $190 million rupees, and we have a history where we have been harsh on US. Here you see when New Delhi protested about US's move, when US actually hiked a tariff for around 25% on steel, India's steel, and 10% levy on India's aluminium. So in a retaliation, we announced that we would raise these tariffs of around $235 million for US exports, and we would not allow these things to go in a cheap manner in India. So it was a kind of a trade war like situation. And you see the issues of medical devices, okay, and this cardiac stent in February 16 and knee implants in August 17. Both these cases where we are actually dependent for almost 75% of these products. We are dependent on imports, and we actually went for price rise for these things, because on these imports we actually imposed price control measures. So it was a problem for US exports. So these were also additional issues where US was angry with us. And here when this trade war was started, when we did some kind of retaliation on these levies, so it was a clear situation where things are not very much positive between India and US. Maybe these bilateral talks and these strategic ties, Komkasa, all are going in a positive manner. But there also US has a strong sales pitch. It is more in favor of US. And here also US is complaining a lot, and now that is perfectly right, that in this particular trade war we cannot win here. Ultimately we cannot win, because US has enormous capacity and we are dependent on imports. It would bring a lot of pressure, economic pressure on us and our exporters, where we are expecting that they would progress much, but they are going to be under extreme pressure. These kind of trade wars are going to be there. China can manage these wars, but we cannot manage these wars with the same level of efficiency as China has, because we are not greatly a manufacturing nation like China. We don't have those much capacities, and right now the situation of Indian manufacturing sector is very dismal. So we need to be cautious here, and that is why writer says that recently Foreign Secretary VK Gokhale, he returned empty-handed from US, means they are not considering our proposals, and that is why many times Trump has mocked our issues. And this is the thing. The writer says that we have some options available here. It is not like that we need to push this trade war here, because New Delhi can easily address the concerns by replacing price controls with the trade margin rationalization. What is this trade margin rationalization? TMR. TMR is where some imports are being done, means US is exporting, we are importing. Then these products would come to stockists, and they are given these products at a certain price, but that price would be much higher when it is reaching up to consumers. So this in between process where we can rationalize these particular margins, and this is how this thing would be beneficial for consumers. It would not bring much pressure on them, and it would be beneficial for US manufacturer also, because they have many issues. Things are not cheap for them. Things are way more expensive than we think, because sometimes when they send these technologies, send their products and all, then they need to send their experts, officials, and the whole expenses are borne by these companies. So they would demand some relaxation here, and if these kind of tariffs and price controls are being imposed on these US exports, which are imports for India, then certainly they would protest, and they are having some international edge there. US is still one of the most powerful countries in these trade talks and all, in these international bodies like WTO and all. So certainly we would have much more problems, and this trade margin rationalization can help us. In the medical devices industry, this has been talked a lot. So these are the ways where we can manage things without going towards tariff war. In GSP, you see, largest and oldest US trade preference program, and we have been the biggest beneficiary. So we cannot lose this thing out in a straight way, in just a knee-jerk action. We cannot afford, because many things are additional, many things are related, many things are going in a particular direction. This is not a simple issue of $190 million. This is the issue of establishment of Indian exporters in these foreign markets. So we need to manage this issue very efficiently. And about the price sensitive products, as I told you, these products like food, leather products, building material, tiles, hand tools, engineering goods, cycle, all these things we are exporting to America, and certain price rise, a small amount of price rise may distort everything, may disrupt everything for them. So we need to protect these also. So this article is all about that, and we need to see in the future that how we are going to manage that, and how much economic diplomacy we are going to apply here. These are the words, and try them into sentences, and the facts which are there, I have converted them into MCQs, and I am giving you all current affair based MCQs, and according to the UPSC pattern I am trying to frame them so that we can reach up to closest to the UPSC pattern. So look for the additional data, look for the hidden information in these questions. Okay, these just the way UAPA Act, I'm asking the question about it. But you should also look for the history, as I told you regarding the National Integration Council. or the National Integration Committee that recommended about that. So you look for the additional data also there. Next, the PDF you will get on the Telegram channel, and the link is given on the Facebook group of mine. On the last page I have given you the group's link here. Okay, send me a request, I would approve. And thanks a lot. Keep watching.